You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneurnetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, daily conversations with Christian entrepreneurs to inspire and empower Christian business owners to walk strongly in their faith, while build a thriving business that honors Him in every way. Now, over to your host, Anne Marie Cross.
Welcome to another episode of the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast. This is episode 21, and yes, I'm your host, Anne Marie Cross, branding communication strategist, also known as the podcasting queen. My guest today has an acronym, P.L.E.D.G.E, which stands for Purpose to Live and Executes God's Expectations with her Soul Out movement. Now, joining me on today's show is Robin here. Robin is uniquely talented at planning, at speaking, and facilitating events designed to evoke a life-changing response, as well as bring to fruition dreams and visions of individuals seeking to connect with their destiny. Now, people who attend her events, they walk away with newfound passion and feel empowered to overcome obstacles to reach their full potential. I love that, Robin. Dreams are fulfilled, new businesses are formed, hope is restored, and success is realized. And she works with leaders who desire to change the culture of their organization and to help people overcome obstacles, tap into their gifts, their talents, their abilities, so that they can be maximized spiritually, professionally, and personally. Now, her company is N2 Fruition, LLC of Winston, Georgia, and she hosts an annual women's retreat and fitness boot camp in the community. Exciting. She's also the visionary for the 6th annual Christmas cantata and toy giveaway. She's the co-author of the most anticipated anthology, Sold Out, SOULED, Sold Out, which will be launched in April 2018. Now, on today's show, Robin is going to share purpose, be sold out to Jesus, principle, be an example, as well as passion, help people. So welcome to the show, Robin.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be here with you this evening.
As I am reading through your bio and your introduction, many of the things that you stand for, many of the things that you are passionate for, I think is so very important, because when you speak to people, it's sad when they really feel that they were destined for bigger things, yet through whatever, and a lot of times it's our own doubt, it's our own fear that keeps us stuck. And when they go to an event such as yours and they hear and they see other women and other men who have gone before them, it gives them the courage then and just the awareness that, you know what, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me too. So I think you're doing important work in the events that you hold, and obviously in this work, and it's such a pleasure to speak with you today. Just tell us, how did you get into this? It's always nice to hear someone's journey and their story that led them down to the path of where they really feel called today.
Well, I would actually have to say that my beginnings weren't absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. I experienced a traumatic divorce, and I found myself without any place to call my own. I was a single mom raising 2 children, and literally life had just fallen down around me, crashed and burned. And so having to pick myself back up again with Christ, always being there through it all. It was a 16-year marriage. And I had been, saved and had given my life to the Lord this whole time. But, this devastation derailed everything that I had hoped and dreamed for was my purpose. So as I am trying to get my head above water, I'm trying to figure out life and just surviving, I lost sight of what I was intended and purpose to do. And I think a lot of people go through that. A lot of people go through tragedies, situations that cause them to just absolutely just sit down and say, forget about it. But through the Word of God, through faith, through prayer, and I want to say just a reconnection with Christ on a whole nother level
Mm-hmm.
is what motivated me to get up, try again, and really reach for new things. And so having gone through those things and realizing that I couldn't do it without Christ, I had to get healed first.
Mm.
And that's what made me realize it was important for others to get healed as well.
Yes.
So that's what was the catalyst for launching this.
Mm. Thank you so much, Robin, for sharing your journey, because I think sometimes when we look at what other women, other men are doing, and we see the success, we see the impact that they're having, we can often look at them with comparison. And we know that as Christians, we shouldn't do that. I mean, no one should be doing that, because often then it reflects on where we are and all of the work that we need to do. But it's good
Yes.
to be able to hear the stories of growth, of development, even from, a breakdown of a marriage, or whatever situation, as you said, a challenge or a real obstacle, and an obstacle and a challenge that has you just flat on your back thinking, oh my goodness,
Yes.
how do I rise from this? How do I move
Yes.
forward? And as we know, and in the Bible, it promises us, when you are weak, if you turn to Christ, then you are strong. So thank you for sharing
Yes.
testimony. So someone who's listening today, that may be a partnership, whether it be business or maybe a personal
Yes.
partnership, there is always light at the end of the tunnel when you allow Christ to heal, and you can then
Yes.
move forward. So purpose, be sold. So SOULED, I love that, out to Christ.
Yes.
What does that mean for you, and what insights are we able to learn from you today around this area?
So there's a difference between truly giving your life to Christ and being sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had given my life to Christ back when I was 25 years old. But there's some part of us that decides that we know best. We have it all together in some areas of our lives. So we listen to God in some areas, and then in other areas we don't. We don't give Christ our relationship choices. We don't give Christ our business choices. We think that if I just follow along with the way that everyone else does it, I can just pray and I can just, go to church and serve God, and everything is going to work itself out.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found was that I needed Christ in every part of my life, in my decisions for who I'm going to partner with, whether it be personal relationships, whether it be business relationships, whether it even be friends. I had to really seek God and ask Him for direction and guidance for every single decision I was making, for everything that I needed for Him to do, as far as giving me knowledge and wisdom and counsel financially, financial decisions that needed to be made. What are the sources that I need to seek for my business and personally? How do I get my credit straightened out after a divorce so that I can be better positioned? All those things, I had allowed the world's way of doing things to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
But being sold out means giving everything to Christ.
Yes.
Your hopes, your dreams, everywhere you're trying to go in life, everything you're trying to achieve, attain, relationships, give it all.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sometimes when you think that God knows every single one of our thoughts before we've even expressed us, in some instances that can be quite scary. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, I hope that didn't, and it's like everything. But you know what? I think because He loves us so much, and He cares for us so much, and He has our pathway laid out. But of course, He gives us free will to make these choices. And, as parents,
absolutely,
slap on the forehead. He's probably doing that. Oh my goodness, there she goes again. But I think, sometimes we continue to come up with the same challenges and the same obstacles. And often that is because there is something happening there that we need to release, that we need to heal, to have.
That's right.
So when you look back now and to where you have come to and the learnings and the growth, can you then see that there were areas where you really, as you said, you hadn't given all of that up to Him to help and manage? So now looking back, things are flowing far more smoothly for you because of the fact that you've given control over to Him. Has that been true for you too?
That is so amazing that you asked that question, because you are 100% correct. I kept repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. The only thing that was the constant was me.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that remained the same was me. The parties changed. So consequently, I ended up in another marriage that failed.
Mm-hmm.
So what was going on here? And I just came to the realization and the revelation of God's word that says, don't be unevenly yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship does darkness have with light? And how can you know if someone is unequally yoked with you? Well, the truth is, it doesn't matter if they go to church, or it doesn't matter if they sing in the choir, or if they're present and giving. And what matters is, what does Jesus say about this person? Have you prayed about it? Have you asked God to reveal truth to you? Because there was a lot of deception that I had fallen privy to. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who have been in business who have been deceived by partners.
Mm-hmm.
And they assumed and thought that they were on the same page. But just as in relationships, personally, romantically, the same thing happens professionally, that you don't know people. You have to have Christ help you to confirm who people are, because whoever you connect your life with can either make things work for you or can totally derail your destiny.
Yeah, it's so true. And as you said, even in business, if you're looking at a partnership or some alliance, those core values are so important, because
Core values.
challenges happen, situations happen, and if there's not that common, and it really is a foundation. That common foundation where sometimes you've just got to get ego out of the picture and say, you know what, we just need to commit this to prayer, and allow an inner change of heart to happen. And sometimes not sometimes, you cannot get there if there's not that commonality. And unfortunately, even in business partnerships, without those common values and where are we heading, what's the common vision,
right?
You're speaking different languages, and there's no solid base, which is really important. And just to share briefly what happened to me a couple of years ago, I had a business partnership, and it was something we put our heart and soul into, and that came to an end as well. And if it hadn't have been, there were times we curled up on a bed, just, crying, and you just need to release that to God, and through that, he really healed. And I think what's so important for someone that's listening today is to have that forgiveness. And even though if you've been wronged by the other person, you're not going to forget and forgive. If the forgiveness is that energetic break, completely, that you can step away and talk about it without feeling, angry. And one of the things that I felt, and maybe you too, Robin, was I did not want to be jaded. I'm a very trusting person, because I want to treat others how I would like to be treated and what I give.
Absolutely.
And so I said, to my husband, I need to forgive this and move on, because otherwise I'm going to be jaded, I'm going to be mistrusting, and I don't like that kind of person in me. So
absolutely.
So with you then, we have to put up, not put up with ourselves, but we live with ourselves our whole life, and harboring those ill will or whatever, and that doubt, that fear, takes a lot of energy, doesn't it? And so it's better.
It does. It really does. And that's one of the reasons for my women's retreat. That's how it was birthed. They're just recognizing, when you've been through that, you can recognize it in other people. You can see it. You become sensitive to it. And I saw that it was so crippling. The Lord just blessed me to have that burden, and he just laid that burden right on me, because most of the time, out of your pain comes your passion and then your purpose. And so whatever you've been through, you can actually help lead others through. It's kind of like the Harriet Tubman syndrome. You come through it, and then it's not enough that you made it. You've got to go back and help other people. And so the women's retreat, it's a 3-day retreat that we have in the mountains, and the whole objective really is to bring women together. We have a great time, and we fellowship first, but then we go way deep in, and we dive into, okay, where you're hurting, Where's the pain? Where's the rejection? And it's amazing that once people release, once you're up on that mountain, God intends to do something in your life. And that's where the change happens. People come there not knowing what to expect, but then the fear, all those things that they buried way deep begin to rise to the surface. And the fears, the rejection, the pain, the hurt, the unforgiveness, all those things come bubbling up to the surface so that we can get those things out. Women have come away feeling so much more refreshed. Those shackles have dropped off of them. And then now they can begin to focus on, God, I'm excited. What do you want me to do? As opposed to I'm hurting all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And when you carry a lot of that around you all the time, you find, and you're not healed from that, and you would have found this too, things trigger you and you immediately go back to that inner feeling, oh, there it is again. But what I think is so brilliant and what we're reminded of is that when we are triggered, often we're discouraged, and the enemy wants this. The enemy doesn't want us living our calling and being a light in the world. So we're discouraged. Despondent, we can get distracted by what we should be working on. But when we release things, then we're reminded that our identity is not in our results, our successes, or our failures, and who God says that we are. And
that's right.
That it's like, okay, well, he says I'm a child of God, and
that's right.
Lean into me, and you seek first the kingdom, and all will be given to you. Let's talk then about the principle of being an example, because I think this is so important as Christians. Even if we may not be speaking to someone about Jesus, our approach and our attitude can speak volumes, can't it?
Yes, it can. It can. And be an example to me. The foundation of what I do is based on Galatians, and is based on Ephesians. It talks about love, and Corinthians, it talks about love and the fruit of the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those they're the foundation for how we need to operate in our day-to-day lives. I have a workshop that we do where we created these beautiful blinged out mirrors. We put jewels all over the back of them, and then we had these beautiful mirrors. And I said, okay, it's a very pretty mirror, but let me show you how we're going to use this in our lesson. I want you to hold this mirror up. Now I want you to ask yourself, was I kind? Was I patient? Did I keep track of wrongs? Did I love? And literally what I encourage everyone to do is align yourself every day and in every encounter with the fruit of the Spirit and the love, the agape love that God calls us to demonstrate. That's why P.L.E.D.G.E is so important to me. Purpose to live and execute God's promises, his statutes. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we're living according. If you can do that, you will always be free.
Yes.
You'll always be free.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, in some instances, the patience and kindness, it's like, I just need to walk away for a moment and take a breath and just give it up in prayer. Because sometimes if we rely on our own strength, whatever situation it is, we can find that we get derailed. But it's so important, as you said, to be mindful, isn't it? Because sometimes things can happen so quickly. I have found that it's more if we slow down and to be mindful, what's going on? How best can I react? But also seeing things. This has been so important for me, seeing things from another person's perspective.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
gold, isn't it? When you realize, what, they reacted that way because this is their experience of that. How can I show them that I'm not being confrontational, whatever? But when we start to open up, there are more opportunities and possibilities to even agree to disagree, with respect and integrity, holding the integrity in the relationship. Have you found that as well?
I have found that as well. And we do a skit that demonstrates the other side. Consider that it could be possible when this lady walked right by you at church and didn't speak to you, that she wasn't necessarily slighting you. Could it be that maybe her focus was on an argument that she just had before she left home? Or could it be a child that is in distress and she's not talking about it? We actually dive into all those different scenarios so that we can have passion for one another. We can put ourselves in their shoes and take, look outside the box, look outside of your own personal feelings and try to consider everyone else first. Give them the benefit of the doubt and forgive quickly. Forgive quickly, even if you don't understand what's going on. Don't hold on to it. So I agree 100%.
Yeah, I remember years ago in one of the classes I was doing, we had to do a mock example. It was in HR, and it was all about legalities. The organisation was not, living by the rules, and so they had some unfair dismissal. And I was a part of the defendant team, so we were going to go in with this and this, and I had all my arguments, all of that, in my head, what we were going to do, and then I was going to say this and that, and we sat down at the table and they said, "We're sorry. We realised, looking back and reflecting over the situation, we were wrong. What can we do to restore this?" And I kind of went, I didn't have anything planned for that.
You were ready for a fight.
Yes, I was already. And it just threw me. And, that is so, when you go and extend the hand of friendship, even if it is, well, something's going on here, let's see if we can sort it out.
Right.
It changes the whole tone, doesn't it? And it allows
does.
you forward. Yeah. So, and that is being an example in that instance, even if you are wronged, sometimes, extending that olive branch can be what can restore the relationship, and not have you weighed down. Energetically, it can just be so heavy if you've had an argument and you're not able to sort out the differences. Let's talk about passion and helping people. I can see through how you've shared today that this is something that's so important for
Yes.
you. What insights can we learn from you today, Robin?
In helping people, I believe that you help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important that, with everything that I've been through, it's clear that I am not the only one that's gone through that. The last thing I want is for anyone to experience it alone and to feel hopeless and helpless. I'm always looking for ways to help. It's as with the toy giveaway that came as me being a single mom, trying to find a job, not knowing where to turn, starting things all over. I'd gone to the Salvation Army that year. Christmas was the furthest thing from my mind. I couldn't afford it, but it was so nice to have that, that resource available to me. So, that's what motivated me to start our toy giveaway in our area. And, to see families who could otherwise not afford what they want for their children, to see the smiles on their faces. We treat them with, a wonderful meal, and we have just a glorious event. We roll out the red carpet. We decorate everything as though it's an amazing, it's festive. And so we treat them like they're royalty when they walk in the door. So, it's just so nice to be able to give that back, and then giving back where, I've been hurt and not wanting any other woman to be hurt. And then the book sold out. The book sold out is basically that. It is an anthology of, men and women and myself telling our stories about, the troubles and the tragedies, but how through faith, prayer, and belief in Christ that we could overcome that. It's not the end of the rope. It's not the end of the line. There's more to this than the pain that you're struggling with. And how can you overcome those?
Yeah. I love, that you're really speaking into this because, sometimes in a breakdown of a relationship, whether it be business or whether it be personal, there comes with it sometimes the shame. What are people going to think? Because what? We all struggle with things through our lives. And, the people who will care about you and care for you, they're the ones that will understand. And there's going to be some people, in business or whatever, that just won't understand. And guess what? They're just not your people and you don't need to worry about them. But I think it goes to show that that whole shame, there is no shame in that. It's an experience that happened, but here, you've worked through that, through Christ's support and his love. And whoever's listening today, what would you say to someone if they are in the same situation as you, and still starting that journey? What insight would you like to share with them, Robin?
The first thing I would say is I understand that whole shame. It wasn't until last year. Now, I had been divorced for, I want to say, maybe 8 years. It wasn't until last year that I could actually open up and talk about the fact that I had a second failed marriage. It was shame. And the thought of telling openly that this had occurred a second time, because I had lost everything. Literally, I had lost my home. I had no job. I had no cars. I lost everything. And so to admit that this thing had happened to me again was, I can't, there's no way to describe that feeling. I felt I would suffocate if I had to admit it out loud. But for someone who's going through this, really, I would really get with someone who is in a counseling position, who is really sold out for Jesus Christ, and begin to get counseling. That's another thing I didn't do to help me through this. I just got busy. I got involved in the community. I was busy from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, and I just stuffed everything. And I didn't deal with the pain at all. I just stayed busy. And I didn't allow God to help me heal because it was too painful to relive it. So I would suggest relive it with someone who can safely help you uncover and peel back all that pain and hurt and deal with it.
Yeah, because you are someone who has gone through that and testimony.
Yes.
There is another side.
There's another side.
The other side, explain to us. What's the other side like, Robin, for you now?
The other side is amazing. I am living my dream now. The Lord, as I spent time with God, He brought me out of corporate America and allowed me to fulfill the purpose and the passion that is to operate my business full time into fruition. And basically, it's kind of a twist on event planning and dream manifestation, if you want. It's where, okay, let's get to the root cause of what's impeding people's progress. Get all that hurt and that anger and that frustration and pain. Let's get that out of the way so people can really live and thrive. And however we do that, whether it's with the toy giveaway, whether it's with the WHMIS Retreat, youth summits, conferences, just getting in front of people to help them release and get delivered so that they can now focus on their business. So I'm running my business. I'm doing fitness and training boot camps. I'm writing, which was another goal that I had. I never thought I'd be an author, but I'm so excited about that. So I am really living the dream right now, and I'm so excited for what God has done for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. So how can people find out more about your incredible programs, Robin?
Well, they can actually go to my website. Do you have a way to post my website on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll put all of the links,
Okay.
like all of the social media connections and all of the links as well. So are there any last insights, one last insight that you would share with people today?
One last fear, I want to say fear is probably very crippling. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. That is probably the thing that keeps people from not meeting their full potential. Fear that their circumstances are not the best or the greatest, waiting around for things to be perfect. I would suggest trust God, seek God first, get to know and understand your own purpose by spending time with the Lord in those quiet moments. And once you are sold out, give everything over to God, your hopes, your dreams, your pains, your opportunity, your potentials, gifts, talents, and abilities. Lay all of that at the feet of Jesus and say, okay, here's all this stuff. What are we going to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to take all of this?
Yeah, please sort it all out.
So, all of that, just sort it all out for me, Lord, and tell me which way to go from there. If you can do that, then I think you'll overcome a lot of the stumbling blocks that just keep us just crossed up. The hurt and the pain, he can heal that. He can give you direction where you may have been gone the wrong way. He can help you with the right partnerships and relationships to, to make sure that those things don't cause you to stumble and fall. And so that's the main thing is just be sold out. Give it all over.
Yeah, because he wants to handle all of your obstacles and challenges, because guess what? He's brilliant at doing that. We don't have to carry that all around. So incredible. So what I'm going to do is put all of the links, and I'm not sure if Robin is still there. We may have lost her. I think we did. But what I'm going to do is put all of the links to connect with Robin on the show notes. To go there, ambitiousentrepreneurnetwork.com/TCE21, ambitiousentrepreneurnetwork.com/TCE21. So all of the links to be able to connect with Robin will be there. As you can hear from how she is explaining and how she's sharing her message, she's really passionate about that. And so if you felt somehow that what she was sharing today really reached you and touched you, please reach out, connect with Robin, and you can find out more about her programs. So what we'll do is we'll end the show. I don't think Robin will be coming back in. Maybe her internet has dropped out. But anyway, another fantastic show. I look forward to connecting with you on the next time we have another episode.
You've been listening to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, brought to you by BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. Changing the world one message at a time. Do you feel called to influence real change with your message? Join our supportive community of like-minded influencers, thought leaders, and disruptors at www.BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. That's BeTheDifferenceMovement.com.